Ask not what we all be can do for you. Ask what you can do for we all be.
Don't get the accolades and recognition and rewards that they're due says a lot about what is wrong with the world that we live in. So we have Danny Thompson. He joins the orchestra in 1967. 1967. Served for a long period of time as the manager of the band. Marshall Allen, 1957, 1958. 58. I was born in 59. Okay? All right. And we're talking about continuity of purpose, purity of intent. You know, Sun Ra was a generalist. He was not like an Elijah Muhammad who comes with a book full of prescriptions and rules for you to abide by. He was not. He was a generalist. And there were certain things that were his bottom line. Love, music, precision, discipline, and sincerity. Sincerity. Be yourself. Tell the truth. Easy things to do. And nobody does it. So when you have the spirit of the music, got Bill Burrell. Thank Bill again for his work on Daniel Moses. Now I'm going to throw some questions over here, but then I kind of want to receive back into the art with what you got to have a conversation. But Danny, we were walking down the street and I asked you about your entry into the band. And I think when I hear those stories, those are some of the most interesting aspects of this war that surrounds Sun Ra. What was it like coming into the army?
Difficult. Sun Ra told me you don't need no more alto players. Dime a dozen. So I got a bassoon.
Yeah, baby.
The bassoon I got was I didn't know it was a half step out of tune. It was a French bassoon globe, and couldn't figure out how I couldn't get it in tune. So then he broke my parts and half step down and it fit. But the bassoon didn't. It's a big band, a loud band, so it couldn't really hear it good. So I got a mouthpiece, almost like a saxophone looking mouthpiece instead of the double reed. And he called it the Neptunian Flucto. But then he didn't, it's still, it's really had to be amplified, really, with this band, because you guys, playing. So eventually he got me a baritone saxophone. And the first baritone saxophone I got was, we found it in a mama's garage. And it was real dirty green. I mean, I don't know where this home came from. But, so we painted it gold and purple and silver. And we was out on a gig for Amir Baraka in Newark, New Jersey. And on the gig, we was playing on the back of a dump truck for the first black mayor of Newark. To get him elected. So we was going out to all the places, the whole part of town. And at the last, I didn't have a case, I had a knapsack. It had a knapsack. It stepped on it. Somebody stepped on it, and I took it to get it fixed in Philadelphia, and the man looked at me, "You want this fixed?" So we saw this new baritone, we had a new baritone there. Sunrise got me a new baritone, so I started playing baritone then. But Marshall got me in the band.
Marshall, when we talked a while ago about you coming into the orchestra, you said that Sunrise had you around, but didn't really want you to play. He just talked to you. What was that like?
It was like that. I heard Sunrise in my household. And I'm ready to get in the band. So we started talking about ancient Egypt, going out of space, the Bible and Jesus. And I'm saying, well, what is this stuff? So he talked to me at 4 o'clock in the morning. Then we went to the club, we had breakfast. He was still talking. I said, I gotta go to work at 8. I didn't make it to work. When the layoff coming out was the first one. Getting late. So he just kept talking about everything but the music. So I said, I'm not going to hear about my music. Keep trying. So I come back one day and I come back again. So I went to John Gilmore's house. He said, come over there. And I went over there and he said, you break a flute? I said, what flute? I don't play a flute. He said, well, we got to get a flute. Because he had 2 or 3 alto players in him. So I said, oh my God. So that means I had to go take lessons on the flute and bought me the flute. So I came back after I got my flute, I couldn't play it too good. And then he says, well, play this tune. So I was scuffling with it. It was such spontaneous simplicity. That was the first tune he gave me. And the only tune for it. So I said, wow. So we kept playing and we played. And then I got on the gigs. I didn't have a chair because there was too many musicians. And I didn't know the music. But I knew one song, spontaneous. So I had to stand by the piano all night. While everybody else sit down. Stand up. And that's what it. And down part of the gigs that he would say. Spontaneous simplicity. I had 1 tune, I played in the band, standing up all night listening to the guys play. So that's how I got in the band. But I think he wanted to see if I had any discipline, if I was sincere about being in this band. because he did everything he could to frustrate me and to drive me away. He did the same thing to Danny, but Danny did the same thing I done, kept coming back. Because when Danny came to the band, I met Danny when I was playing with old Tunji. And well, everybody said, oh, go see Marshall, go see Marshall. He had his little flute and stuff. So I said, man, what y'all send that ball over here to me for?
They passed me out. I mean, it was like 10 musicians, and I was like, oh man, that's my favorite. Oh, I know him, I heard him. And yeah, man. Yeah, go here, man.
Go see him, man.
So I ended up with him.
You know what, talk to me, I was talking to him. Then everywhere I go, he's right behind me, follow me. Little boy. So he's gonna find out where I live and he's gonna come and visit. So he came there, that's when he met someone. So right, what you bringing him over here for? I need a ride. So anyway, I said, well, I don't know what to do. Can't do nothing like that. But that's how he got in the band. He kept coming. Sunrock kept running him away. But he come right back again. So finally, we give him something to do. So that's the way I was. I kept coming every day with Sunrock. And he said, get a flute. And you do this. He wouldn't let me play the alto. So I had to play the flute. And then I said, oh, I got my clarinet. He said, no, John plays clarinet. That's enough. So anyway, I had stuck with the flute. Then I had to say, oh, I better get lessons. So I had Marcel, I can't think his last name. And then we was a flute teacher. He was from the Chicago Symphony. So now I'm stuck over there with him, and he says, now I'm gonna give you a lesson, but it's gotta be after all the kids have their lessons, and then when I get ready to leave, I'll give you a flute lesson. But only one thing, you got to take the kids with the saxophones. There's a bunch of kids in the studio. And you teach them saxophone and the music. And then in the end, I'll give you flute lessons free. So I said, oh man, this is it. I got me 2 jobs. One to practice on the flute and the other to teach the kids. So that's what I did until I worked real hard. I was moved pretty fast. Or I was getting toned on the flute. So that's how I got in the band.
Let me ask. Sorry, Marshall. Go ahead.
The one thing was, I said, no, I'm gonna never get in the band with my alto. I'm carrying it around. The band migrated to New York. And Sunrock didn't have no more. They only had John Gilmore on the vocals, a couple of trumpet players and trombone. And that's where I got my chance to play alto.
Okay. Had to wait until New York.
So that's how I met Sunrock. I went to him. And so I was just sitting there talking. I said, I want to join the band. He didn't say nothing about music. So, tell me about ancient Egypt, the spaceman going to the moon.
Everybody's got who, had some Sunrock in their life has that first contact memory. That first time that you meet him and you're trying to integrate him into your understanding of the world and people. And that's a lot of work. And I'm wondering if Bill and January can also talk a little bit about their first exposure to Sunrock. And we'll go ladies first, if you don't mind. What was it like meeting him for the very first time? What situation was that? And what was
well, I'm initially from Baltimore, Maryland. Famous Ballroom. If anybody knows, Famous Ballroom is well known for bringing in jazz musicians throughout the years. The Left Bank Jazz Society. And I was in my 20s then, and Maryland Institute College of Art as a student. And I became aware of Sun Ra through this experience. And that's what, it wasn't a show, it was an experience. I first saw pageantry through the processions, and I was awed by that. I first saw coming out of the box and not just wearing a suit and tie on the bandstand. And Sun Ra loved colors. He loved the sparkle and shine of life. And these are the things that inspired me as a visual artist over the years. I was inspired by Ra because he thought of things not on the mundane level of everyday existence. He talked of like other things over there, outer space. He gave you a sense of it didn't have to be this way or the way it was. You didn't have to live that way if so. Anyway, as a young artist, I was very much inspired. I remember going to this was my first encounter. We used to go sit on the floor. There was the Left Bank Jazz Society, had the tables and everybody had their food and whatever. And my friends and I would come in and sit on the floor right in front of the bandstand. So not only that, it was being in close proximity to the music and really feeling the vibrations of the music. And I swear it's something scientific. I know it infuses you on a cellular level. It changes you. And by the time they play for 6 hours straight, you are a changed person. So that's what I encountered, and I swear it really, as not just a admirer of the group, but from a distance, I felt so connected throughout the years. I ran into y'all. I came to Paris one year and y'all were playing, and I don't know what I had on my itinerary, but I made it a point to come to the place that y'all were playing. And I was welcomed in because they thought I was a part of the band or something. So they took me right up to the front, and later you walked me to catch a cab, Marshall. So I mean, these are one. Then I was going to Best Tax 77, and I was very fortunate to sit behind Sun Ra, directly behind Sun Ra on the airplane. Yeah. Now you talking about Sun Ra can talk. You talking about Sun Ra talking. So I spent most of the time 8 hours going over to Nigeria like this, making sure I got him, and I don't remember what it was, but again, being touched by that spirit of who that man was. That being, I'm not even gonna call him a man, that angel, that's who he said he was. I believed him. And I'm so thankful for the experience.
Well, it's kind of interesting. Your two stories are so connected and so alike. Ours are as well. I had the Left Bank. I was a high school student, and I had studied trumpet and had been in the marching band. And somebody, you know, I had seen Mingus, I had seen a few giants. I was starting in a direction with music that was a little away from the mainstream of jazz. Left Bank was a phenomenon to me. The first time I must have been 18. And it was the right place. I mean, it was also the place where totally straight ahead jazz happened every Sunday afternoon. You know, fried chicken, and it was a whole family style thing. You guys came in there and formed that place like someone else.
I can go there and they had good food, they fed the band good.
But that was the first time I saw the films and the dancers, because the space was huge. I mean, it was a big open room, and you guys took it over and completely lit it up. And I got to say, you know, I had always drawn. I'd always drawn portraits. My mother was a musician. She's a violinist and viola player, classical musician. And those of you who may have known, she was my partner in DC Space. There would not have been a DC Space if it wasn't for my mother and my family farm in Ireland. That's what financed it. And she was, I had come back from, I had gone to, at that point, this was a couple of years later, I'd gone to visual arts school. And I stopped playing trumpet. And I'm not going to blame you guys, but I heard music that this is nothing like I'd ever heard. And went to visual arts school and primarily doing portraits of artists and musicians that I knew. But all of what I do now, 30 some years later, are portraits of artists that I not only knew, but knew personally and had an opportunity to work with and actually had love for people in my life. So I consider my work, I name my paintings and my work after a Don Pullen piece, Ode to Life. Because I think artists, we need to be doing that. We need to be looking at our own lives, not going around and pretending that there's more important things. You know, you need to know the important things, but incorporate them in your own life, in your own way. So I took Mom. I said, look, you know, we didn't have a name for the place at this point, and I took her to see Sun Ra at the Bird's Nest, which was Charlie Bird, a bossa nova guitar player. Here had a club in Silver Spring, tiny little club, bad air. Back then, everybody smoked all the time, and getting a little club. And my mom was not used to much of any of it, and she had done her doctoral dissertation on African American music. And really, I mean, Baraka's books were in our house. She was studying them when I was a kid, and I say all of that had an impact on me, but nothing quite like my first few experiences. I took Mom to see you, and she said, "This is." I don't know what that was. And she says, I feel very odd. My mother fainted. My mother literally fainted on the floor and was blacked out for probably half a minute or so. Everybody was around her and she came to us. And I say to this day that was when we decided that we were going to call the place DC Space. We were gonna, and you all were going to be a part of it. Not too long after that, I'm not even sure which event or another concert, I reached out and someone introduced me to you.
Oh, yeah.
It said, Danny's doing the business. And we've been doing business for
Ever since, right.
A real quick thing. Somebody posed the question to me the other night. This group that put this together, we gathered regularly since right before Sun Ra's actual birthday in May, whether that was his actual birthday or not. But, and we met regularly, so these would become like salons where we talk all about our experiences with Sun Ra. Oh, and by the way, we got to do some planning here. We got to find some money here. We got to go figure out how to get this going. And I got asked the other night, so you knew Sun Ra? And I said, what? And then he said, "You're not going to answer me?" Well, you did business. That was it, you know. And I couldn't answer him. And the next day, I wrote him an email saying, "I thought all night about it, and could not say that I knew Sun Ra. I would greet Sun Ra, and he was always so charming and so pleasant. And so he always put out that, 'I'm glad to see you again,' and I would pay Sun Ra. And at that point, he was always charming, you know. We would see each other again, but I was often, because of being on the presenter side, and I presented him probably close to 17, 18 times at the orchestra, in every way you could imagine. A couple times a year in those first years at DC Space, the 930 Club, the Pension Building, the Post Office Pavilion, Freedom Plaza. I mean, we did a lot. We did a lot over the years. But at least a dozen times I was lucky enough to be a part of the group, like you all, that sat and listened to Sun Ra. And it often would be as many people as there are in this room after he would play. I never saw him sleep. He would. The one night that I do remember is the sun came up at DC Space, because we never told you when to start or stop. That was, and you would just play. But I said to him, I was with Sun Ra on at least a dozen occasions, listened to him talk about everything you could imagine on the universe, and would sit for hours, and I would say there were times where I was riveted by what he was saying. There was other times I had no idea what he was talking about, and they would be within minutes of each other. So you're left with an overall experience of being in the room with a source of power that you can't explain. And I would say any of us that sat in those rooms could not say we knew Sun Ra. He never asked me to call him Sonny, but I never heard any of you call him Sonny except for you.
Yeah, we call him Sonny, but Sonny, Sun Ra, but he was all right with that. But if somebody was around, we'd say Sun Ra. But like we call him Sonny. We for rehearsing and stuff. But he never did sleep. He very rarely slept, and he would take cat naps. Mm-hmm. So if we were rehearsing, he would like, nah. He said, oh, there's no chance. Go out, smoke a cigarette, go outside. And he wake up, you ready? And he would come in right at whatever he was playing, he'd be right there. Or if he was talking to us or something, he'd pick up where the sentence left off. And I mean, just like he wasn't sleepy, yeah, now so play this. And he was like that. And I came in in the Slugs days, and Slugs was a bar. It was like a dive. This said it was a dive with sawdust on the floor. It was a long club, but it was not the most beautiful places I've ever seen. And they had spittoons up down there. And they had a stage, and on the stage, the first time I played with Sun Ra, and the first time I saw him, they had Sun Ra's piano, but piano was on the stage, and 3 bass players, and 3 sets of drums, full sets of trap drums, and maybe some kumas over here, and the rest of the band was right below the stage in front. And this place was something else. It was a saloon, a dive. It wasn't really beautiful, but they had a lot of good music came through there. A lot of good musicians came through there that would play there. And Sun Ra would play there every Monday night. And he would start about 9 o'clock, and he didn't take no breaks. We went straight through till 4 in the morning. And the only time that the band could get off the front of the bandstand, because the guys up there on the stage with Sun Ra, they couldn't get off at all. We could get off, because we had Clifford Jarvis with us, and he would take these half-hour drum solos. And we'd be like, yeah, Clifford, go on, play. And there was a little bathroom right next to the stage, so we'd go there, a little entrance to the bathroom, and we'd be signaling to the waitress to give us something to drink, or, we'd have a smoke there, but you better be back on the bandstand when Clifford finished his solo. That was bad news if he wasn't. Sun Ra was really easy, but you didn't mess up his music, and certain things he didn't allow. And his music that was one of them. He was really hard on that. He never really gave anybody any direction verbally. At one time, after I was in the band a little while, I was the point man, I guess, to tell somebody and he wouldn't say nothing, he'd just look at you. And you had to know what he was thinking. like telepathy. And you had to tell somebody, we're gonna play this, or you solo, you lay out. And he just, he wouldn't say, tell us, and he wouldn't say a word. And I messed up one time, that was it. I heard about it real bad after the show. So I made sure, but you had to tune into his mind, this part of his mind, what he was saying, what he was looking and giving the signals. Nobody could never figure that out. We were just, you know, and the guy started playing.
So can I ask a question? Did he have telepathic communication with all the band members or just with certain individuals?
Well, whoever was the point man, he had telecommunication with that. Sometimes with the band members too. But with the point man, it was easier for one person to tell somebody, you know, and people didn't, you know, it was good that way, as long as you didn't mess up.
And did he have particular spiritual practices?
As far as how?
And, I mean, anything that he did to spiritually enhance himself?
Himself or us?
Oh,
Well,
I'm going to answer.
well, he was writing music, and he was always telling us things from the Bible. He was telling us different things because he was very learned.
Yeah.
And he had read all kind of books and all philosophies and excuse me, and all forms of religion. So he knew a lot of things. So he would sometimes, he said the spirit would get him and take him out of space somewhere, and he said this is what they said. And he'd tell us that.
So, in what you formerly spoke of in terms of a cat nap, were those the times that he would, he sort of trance out and then come back with information?
Probably so, because he was listening. I mean, if you said something, how can you go like this? And I mean, catnap, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or maybe 3 minutes, and then come right back where you started. Like you hadn't really left anywhere. Or your body left, but you was sitting there looking like, one time I saw Sunrise, Sunrise was real sick, he had the flu or something. And we was at another house, and he was laying on the couch. And I was up there to see about it. And he said, yeah, Danny, I'm feeling better. Then I saw 2 sunrises. No kidding. I saw the sunrise laying down, and I was talking to the sunrise sitting up on the couch. That was sitting up on the couch. He said, Danny, who are you talking to? And then I snapped out of it. I said, well, I just saw you. I thought you were just laying, you were sitting up. He said, no, I wasn't sitting. You must have saw my other me. And he said, that means I'm getting better. And he got better. Some things happened that with Sunrise, things happened and it was like unexplainable. One night we had this song he wrote called Darkness. And we rehearsed this, and this is no joke, from 10 o'clock in the morning. We took a break at 8 till about 8 o'clock, the same song. Oh, I was tired, man. Oh, come on. But we didn't get it right. We hadn't got it right. We thought it was good, but we hadn't got it right. He said, well, fellas, let's try it one more time. So we played this song. We must have played it right, because all the lights went out in our neighborhood. Like 5 houses or 6 houses, all the lights was out. And he said, you got it that time, fellas. So there was a lot of unexplainable circumstances around Sunrise that you can't really say that maybe a human would do or would see or could do. I've seen him do a lot of things. He was a master musician, and we had the band was. He would lecture us. He would tell us different spiritual things, sometimes it be so much, you can't grasp that stuff. I mean, you might grasp it years later. Or if you might see somebody said something, oh, that's Sunrise said that. Just like in that movie, Joyful Noise, this documentary, Joyful Noise. Sunrise was sitting on the White House fence. I don't know if y'all remember. He was talking about there's a White House behind me. But the equation's wrong. It should be a black house too. If you got a White House, you need a black house. Now, I'm not saying, but
And also, like, you know, he said that, you know, beings from other dimensions, if they were to visit us, they have no rights. To me, that sounds so on point.
yeah.
But to the average soul, it sounds bizarre and extreme. But, you know, when you chew on it for a minute, oh yes, of course this cannot be the only universe, and yes, we are being visited. All right? And if they wanted to make themselves seen, what rights do they have? I
Yeah.
thought that was so...
Lock them up.
Yeah.
January had something she wanted to put.
Now, I just want to say, as a visual artist, again, Rob made you think outside of the box, and that's how I was profoundly touched years ago when I started doing my line of wearable art. Again, to create with a purpose, to touch consciousness, to touch the culture that's been with me. But I was amazed by, and all the times I saw Rob, what some people would call costume. I hate that word, costume. Costume is something you put on when you being something other than who you are. And that's why I use the term regalia. I wear regalia. Sun Ra wore his regalia. He was being who he was all times. And I think there should be a book, and I wish I had enough time on the planet to write a book, just how he would adorn himself and what he would choose to wear on a regular basis in the street. He put his stuff on, and that's your armature. That's what you put on when you come out and you face the world, the mundane world.
He didn't care either. He wore what he wanted.
Exactly. Exactly. Nobody else. I wish I had time to do a book.
Well, you do, sister, you do. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Marshall.
Marcia said, get started.
Marshall, we've seen a whole year. This is the 100th anniversary of Sunrise's birth, and we've seen a whole year of you arriving. Birth is a dirty word. They park you in a birth when they're yes. Arrival is the planet Earth. All over the planet. You guys were playing in Europe, and then the next thing you know, you're in Japan, and you're back in the States, and you're back in Europe, and all over. Was there a point early where you were aware of how big this thing was going to get? I mean, if you started in '58, when things are still in Chicago and are still at a certain size, when did you start feeling, okay, this is large?
Well, I couldn't understand. I mean, I couldn't understand everything someone was talking about. But I couldn't deny it either. So it was frustrating for me because everything I played, it was okay, but it's not what he wants. So that's frustrating. You play your heart out, and he says, that's good, but that's not what I want. So I couldn't understand none of that. And then he's talking about all these things, which I believe, and I'm scared not to believe because I don't know. But, you know, and that's what I had to go through, and he tests me all the time. Every time. So he'd give me a part, you play this, I'll play it, good. But that's the last time I play that part, because when somebody else comes in, he gives them another part and takes my part away and gives it to somebody else. Then I got a new part.
Marshall does
So I
that
said,
now.
I got a new part. Good, I can work with that. Then I get to the gig. 10 minutes before we go on, I got another part. So I got all these parts now. I don't know which one to play. So see, I got so confused, so I couldn't think like I was doing it because he knew I was thinking. So that's why he did that. He could keep me confused because I was thinking. When I was thinking, I was doing what I call right. But that wasn't it. It was from the heart that he wanted to hear. So when I didn't know what to do, and I had to play, so I played the way I felt. And it was from the heart, and then he wouldn't say anything. And I know he didn't look over me with eyes because I messed up. So that's the way it went all the way. So I couldn't understand nothing, so I just said, I quit thinking, quit knowing. I didn't know anything. And just being like a student. So you said, go that way, I go that way, go that way, go that way, without a question. So that's the way I always stay. So I said, now what am I playing this music for? Well, first I wanted to play for fame and the girls and all that. And the money. And as I was doing that, I was thinking, doing that thing. So everything I do, he block it. No, you can't play that. Give it to somebody else. Because I was thinking. Until I said, one day I woke up and I said, now I'm not going to know anything. Forget what I learned at the conservatory and all the teachers in the square. I said, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to play what I feel, wrong or right. But every time I would do that, he would kind of nod his head and go to something else. So that's the way I have to learn. Say, what am I playing this music for? Am I playing it for fame, money, and good time and all that? No. I finally woke up and said, I'm playing this music for my well-being, so I can give some of the people who need some, give them some for their well-being. So then he would say to me, you know, we're playing for the people who need these things. Because it was just like you thinking and was blocking out all the good vibrations that come to your life by thinking and knowing everything.
That's it.
From then on, I'm playing for my well-being. So when I play, the people can feel what I'm doing from my heart and not from my knowledge.
Awesome.
Ashe.
No place you can run away. Run to the rock to hide your face, rock right out in the hiding place. He said, imagination is the magic carpet which makes souls of the lands and clouds beyond the moon, the other planet in the sky.
If we came from nowhere here, why can't we go somewhere
Somewhere
there?
there. Yes.
Because nobody seems to know where we come from.
And so do you guys dream of him? Do you see him?
I've seen him. One time.
I've seen him.
Go ahead.
I see him all the time.
See him all the time.
Yeah, because if I do something, and I get, what I do, I get that thing, it's like sunrise, oh no, you don't do that. You know, but I see him in the house there.
Yeah,
Until it's part of, you don't worry, you don't cry over nothing. And it's just like, he's here, and I'm here. So I have to watch what I say, because I have to say what I mean, and do what I mean.
So you feel him?
So he's here now.
Yes, he
You
is.
understand?
you know, Sunrise, he's come to me in some visions. And when I say a dream is one thing, but a vision is, you're not really asleep, but you see this vision. You came to me quite a few times in a vision. But yesterday, we was at the theater, doing a sound check. There was somebody over on this side, in this little box, I don't know what to call it, and he had these lights. This person I couldn't really see this person. He had a cape, gold cape, and lights, sparkling lights on his head.
That was Merrill.
Yeah.
That was
She.
Mother's
It was
Day,
she.
You see?
But
I
the
couldn't
look is
see.
right. That's
I couldn't see.
I would see it. That's her. She would love that.
And
That's great.
wait a minute.
I'll tell you said that.
I love it.
I was walking over to get ready to go off stage. I said, hey. And he did, Sunrise would do like this. That was one of his greetings.
Oh, this is wonderful.
It is. She was channeling for you.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, there was shadows over there and I couldn't really see good, and I'm like, but Sunrise come to me quite a few times, and he came to me one time. I was stuck down in Texas. I was coming back to Philadelphia. I got broke, and my car was broke down. I was third gear all the way from Houston. Don't ask me how I did it, but anyway. You gotta keep moving, you gotta go. You stop and you, like if it's raining somewhere and you're driving, the sunshine somewhere. So you gotta drive, and if you stop, you're gonna be full of water. If you keep going, you're gonna find it's gonna be dry somewhere. So I learned that, so I'm gone. I said, so I was asleep. I said, oh, I'm so tired. So I stopped in this rest area in South Carolina, and I was laying down there. I couldn't go no more. I done drove. I'm asleep. And this vision comes to me. Sunrise. I'm at the Morton Street at the house, and they had no money. And he walks in the door. I said, what's up, Sunrise? I said, no, I came in. I said, hey, Marshall, how you doing? So Marshall let me in. I was talking to Marshall. Sunrise comes down the steps. I said, and Marshall went in the kitchen. I was talking to Sunrise. I said, Sunrise, I ain't got no money. He said, I ain't got nothing in this pocket. I said, Sunrise, ain't too much. He went in another pocket. He had money like everywhere. So, so he said, yeah, Marshall, who are you talking to? I said, that's Sunrise. He said, where? And he was gone then. He was in the statue that was in the house. The statue was in the house. And I said, it's right there. He was like, damn, I gotta go now. He could only stay like maybe a few minutes, a few seconds or something like that. And then he goes back wherever he's going. But I've seen him quite a few times.
And so when he manifests to you, you can look at him straight on and he'll stay.
Yeah, I mean, no, I look at him. I be talking to him. I talk to him. And I've seen him one time I didn't have no horn. And I said I needed a horn to play with the band. And all I had was a flute. I said, I gotta have saxophone somehow. So Sunrise showed up at this gig. Marshall was playing on stage. And Sunrise had a suit on right here, but the here was like transparent or something. I said, Sunrise, come on. You'll be all right. Don't play with the fellas. And I got back in the band after that. And I got horns and stuff and everything. So I've seen a lot of the fellas. John Gilmore, I'll tell you a story about John Gilmore, vision I had about Gilmore. Gilmore was always worried about his hair. That it was because it was going bald. And he's taking everything. Everything, Rogaine, whatever it had, whatever, if you, hey, son, I I got this, John, I got this hair product. Oh, I'll take it. Nothing was coming back. It wasn't coming back. It was gone. But he said, look at it, man. Yeah, man. So I saw this, I was in the division and the band was playing somewhere, and I was talking to them in the dressing room, and so they were going on stage. So I heard this horn. I said, they was on stage. I said, it sound like John. So I opened up this door, and John had this red coat on, nice red coat. He's sharp. John always be sharp. He had this nice sport coat on. He said, yeah, look here, big up. I got my hair. He had a full head of hair. It looked good. I said, damn, John. He said, yeah, man. Yeah, I got my hair. So I went back and told him, I said, Marshall, I just seen John with a full head. He said, where? I said, in the dressing room. He said, what? So he ran back there, and the only thing that was there when he opened up the door was John's saxophone on a stand.
Oh my God.
That's one thing. We playing in California.
Yeah.
Over Dotson, you know, trumpet player. They wrote Enlightenment and all this stuff. Okay, he died. I was walking across the dance hall, going to the bathroom, and somebody in white came over to me and said, don't you remember me? He said, I'm Hobart Dotson. And I said, well, I've been drinking a lot of beer, so I hadn't heard him go. I said, man, I can't take you back, but see the dressing room door, go in there to Sunrise. Sunrise back there, they want to see you. I said, with Dotson. And then I went on to the bathroom. Then I ran back out. I said, Sonny, did you see him? He says, who? Hobart Dotson. Nobody seen him.
He ain't been there about maybe, 10, 15 years.
And he had a white suit on. And I'm asking everybody, see that guy with the white suit? No,
I didn't see him either.
So do you think it has to do with the music that you play that allows these energies to come back and forth?
Well, the music can take you many places. Music can do, it's a magic. It's like a magic carpet. Yes. You know? But you have to put yourself in and out of it. So what he was doing for the people of his day,
That's right.
he said the ear is like a harp, got many strings. So he used to playing on the bottom of it, and he never play up on the top. You know, some piano players never play up, they play in the middle or down. So he said the ear is like that, so the minute you hit one of the high things or different where you don't play, it's like that. Like if you hear a sound now go, you do that because it's the alert. So he said he would put this music together for the people to expand their hearing and knowledge and spirit. To play not what they used to play in the square, but beyond that. So that was disturbed a lot of people. They couldn't stand it, and because it's like anything else you don't understand, back away.
I want to add something to that I think is relevant, and you can just kind of put it aside and work with it. Light is fundamental as an energy, photons, right? And waves form interference patterns, and those interference patterns are us. Okay? Now, light moves way faster than sound, but sound is also a waveform, and it operates exactly the same at the level of these interference patterns. So I kind of feel like advanced musicians like Sun Ra have tapped into the fact that they can use sound to model and make slow enough for us to understand these kinds of interference patterns that are fundamental to reality. And I think where we're going, folks, and it's why it's why all of this work is as fun as it is, there's a serious edge to it. This is the laboratory where the future is being built. Do you understand? And the future is about, we've done all we can with stuff. We've got stuff we don't know where to put it. We don't know who to sell it to. We're in debt for all this stuff. The stuff is a problem. So now we got people that have history and experience in building with the most subtle building material you can imagine, which is moving air. That's what you do when you make music. You move the air around. And we're entering into a whole new phase. And these children are here. My new friend, how are you doing? Eric, yes?
Yes, sir.
I'm so glad when I remember names. And he brought his children because he was like, well, you guys have to meet Marshall Allen. You know, he has an understanding that these ideas are going to play very practical, tangible roles in the futures of our children. So this is important stuff. Thank you. Thank you.
So some things have, some things for you, some things for you, some things for you, some things for you, some things for you. So you get out of this whole chaotic movement what's good for you. So that's what you call the vibrations of the day. So if we play a song, we don't play it exactly like it need to go somewhere else. So it's always said to me like a sound body, sound mind. That's what your mom and papa tell you. Sound body, using sound to heal, using sound to make you cry, make you happy. So everyone can get out of sound what they need. So it's a different. So you have to play everything, music, sound deals with everything, in order to give everyone in the room something that he needs, that he can use. You see? So that's why chaos, in chaos is many sounds going different directions. So it's up to you to have the discipline to know you don't get what you like, you get what you need.
Say so. I did a crown 2 years ago. It was a wire base, and it's made with broken glass, rhinestones, but I had one uncut diamond that someone had given me, and I put the diamond in the crown. And all around the broken glass and everything, all the flash, and it's called Ode to Sun Ra, 21st Century Celestial Space Crown. It's now on exhibit at Spelman College at the Cosby Center, and it'll be up there for a while. But in thinking of Sun Ra, as I was creating this crown, he is the diamond in the center with all the other stuff around it, but yet he's so much surrounded you can't eat. I don't even know where I put the diamond at in the crown and looking at, and that's what he represented to me, that kind of spirit. And so we all touched and all honored. And just to feedback briefly on what Bill said, I can't say I knew the man, but I've had encounters with him, and as a result of that, as an artist, I was touched. And I never thought of that until you just said it. I didn't know Sun Ra.
And there are encounters that we've all had in different ways.
Exactly.
We've had a completely different encounter. I mean, I gotta say, when he would talk, you rarely ever heard him say the same thing twice.
Yeah.
I mean, he would repeat thoughts, but it was, you know, he was not trying to convince you of anything. I never felt he was like, you get what I'm saying? You understand me? It was never. It was like, it didn't matter whether he had understood or not. All I know is that a big majority of the people that I was connected to related to Sun Ra, especially in the audiences, were artists. I mean, it's amazing. I mean,
Yes.
we're photographers. Michael's photos you're seeing here, we're years and years of following Sun Ra. And the other artists that came into this pop-up museum, I didn't really know at first. I knew a couple of people, but people that I was familiar with, it's hidden behind here, but A.L.L. Roselle Brown, who has never painted Sun Ra, but she goes, well, those 2 gold panels that I sent you, those are absolutely impacted by Sun Ra. And she also suggested I include a painting she had done of Erica Badu. And those of you who were there last night, Erica couldn't be here. Erica is another modern, younger artist who was touched, but not touched by meeting him, not touched by being in a band with him, not touched by following him, but just that one touch. I was visiting her last year, and she just looks up and starts singing If There Is No Sun. The sun had just come up over the lake, and her kids were there, 2 daughters were there, and she was singing it to her daughters. And they were piping in. And I realized that when you're touched by them, my daughter who's now in her mid-20s, that last concert we did here in the church, when the audience was there an hour, you guys came an hour late, and Sun Ra did not want to be seen carried in, so we all went back outside. He came in at the piano, and we all came back in. She kept saying, I can't see him, I can't see him. She was 3, and I put her up on my shoulders, and she just big smiled, enjoying all of it, whatever. And then still to this day, she says, I don't remember it. But if anybody mentions Sun Ra, she goes, well, I was there in his last whatever it is, he touched you, and then you keep at it. And me making my art, which I just started doing in the last 7 or 8 years. And it was after retiring from producing, which was many times with Sun Ra, there was a time where I wasn't thinking about some of the things that he had said or he had done. And it changed my way as a visual artist. And it worked that way. If you had that opportunity, it worked that way. And I just feel like now, it's all of those of us who did have a chance to touch with him, it's our responsibility to take it to another generation. I was at least a 3rd generation removed. I mean, I'm closer to your age, and we kind of came into, but we weren't the first. Yeah. we were another wave, and then there was another wave, and there's going to be another wave. I mean, I don't think of too many artists where you still feel like they're with you. There's certainly artists that you think are amazing, and you collect all of what they've done since they've died. I don't think any of us are doing that. I think we're all still in his realm.
That's funny because about the children, because a gentleman came by to interview Marshall from the Enquirer newspaper, and he had a book in his hand. He said, I want you guys to see this book. It was a little short book. It was like this. It was a children's book, and it was by Sun Ra. It had pictures in there, there was drawings and everything. And it was a children's book. It said, yes, he said he came from Saturn. It was really saying, like what Sun Ra would say for children. And then they said, even when he didn't die, he went back to Saturn. I mean, it was really a beautiful book, and it had all these illustrations in there. I said, wow. And that reminded me of what Sun Ra said. He said, years from now, they'll just be getting my kindergarten stuff and music and probably philosophy too. And it's true because one time Marshall brought out a number that Sun Ra had him write off the record. He was testing Marshall. He wrote it out and he said, he never did play it. He said, yeah, okay. And just put it back. But Marshall got his writing skill there. And he had us play it. And we never could play it. I mean, it was difficult. It was really difficult. So a lot of things he said from years ago, and he was light years ahead of his time. He was so, like he said, the man was going to be on the moon in Chicago. They would laugh at him. But look now. He said people be space traveling. They tried. The plane just blew up. They was testing it out. People were going to spend $250,000 to go to outer space and come back. but they didn't have the, they needed the music probably, that's what it was.
They should have had a different
Sunrise said that years ago. I mean, his stuff was so far ahead of his time, his thinking and his words. And maybe he was picking these out from the cosmos, like he picked the music. Oh, this idea would come. He always said that certain musicians was angels, because no man could play like that.
Yeah.
And I've heard some musicians like Coleman Hawkins, Dinah Washington, Sarah Vaughan. Nobody played like that. Nobody sang like that. Duke Ellington. Nobody posed like that. Nobody. Where does this come from? Even some country musicians. We heard, me and Sunrise was down in Birmingham, and Tammy Wynette was, I think that's her name, she was singing Stand By Your Man, and she was singing this, and Sunrise said, see, I told you, some musicians are angels. Because this music comes from the heavens. The Creator gives you this music. And because Kate, in Mozart, you can't play this. This is not supposed to be played. This is not how this is supposed to go. You can't play this. Where you play that? Where did that come from? That's come from the spirit.
We have about 10 more minutes, and I want to make sure that we open the floor to everybody, to be able to ask questions. You.
Me? I just want to do a little slight something, and I just want to pull libations for my son Rob, and I met him back in the early 80s through my friend Brother Bay. And she took me, we stayed up to 3 o'clock talking on the corner of Georgia Avenue and Harvest Street, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the next day, they went down to the old post office and played all night long. I was done. So I just like everybody to be able to pull libations towards Sun Rock and tell their story.
And you can put the altars over there. There's a plant on the altar. You can do things. Thank you.
Sunrise, we would be very scared. Sunrise, we're playing all night. We drove somewhere, hundreds of miles, 1,000 miles. We playing the gig, and we getting ready to leave. We packed up. We're going back to the hotel, and somebody asked Sunrise a question. That's it. About another 2 hours later.
I'm so glad I made it. I ran into another system. We were running up and down. We called PFW. They didn't know it popped up. So I know I missed a lot. But I just wanted to say I have such respect and awe for Sun Ra and the orchestra and the system that stayed, Marsha Allen.
Absolutely.
Danny.
Thank you.
And I first saw Sun Ra in 1967 in Seattle, Washington. And the reason I saw him was that I was taking a class from Ishmael Reed, and that was our final. Go see Sun Ra.
Wow.
June was there. I was 18, tell my age, and I've seen you all lots of places, lots of different cities. My friend Charlotte Rutherford, who's from Oregon, Portland. We've traveled a bunch of different places. I can't remember them all. Slugs, I know I saw you there. I saw you in California. Can't remember, it was the 70s then, so some things are kind of not quite there. And I have a wonderful album, some of you all signed. And I just have the deepest respect. And last night was awesome. I wish people miss something beautiful, but I would just thank you for your music.
Thank you.
I just talked to my nephew who's going through some things, and like all of us are going through things, and he's in Seattle, and I'm going to try to tell him, try to take some of this to him in a phone conversation and make sure he listens to music because he needs the help. So I hope you guys will put him just embrace what he's going through and help him through this. Thank you.
Sister, could you Facebook me, please?
Absolutely.
Facebook.
Oh, no, I can't because I don't have a Facebook.
You know,
But I have an email. I just retired. But I'm thinking of doing Twitter. I'm thinking of doing Twitter.
all right, one way or another. Yes.
Twitter's a lot harder.
You mentioned the waves of musicians that have come through the orchestra and also, audiences, how that shifted. I noticed last night at the show that there were younger musicians on stage. What is your process for kind of incorporating them and pushing this music forward and creating new music and making it intergenerational?
Well, the process is just like I do. I don't go get musicians. They come to me. Because if they come to me, it's just like I went to Sunrise. He went to Sunrise because they needed something, they were sincere about it. So, those who came know the rehearsal and that, but we have to play with all these people that in their heart and spirit, you see. So we play. And it's like a grand orchestra, unrehearsed, but precise.
Yeah.
And that's what that was last night. Because they didn't rehearse. I got things that you play, and it's precise. And space in there to create. So I wrote music like that. You wrote a long tune, and then you still have space to create. The Creator gave you a gift, and you must use the gift.
Absolutely.
But last night, those who were in the band was from their heart, without knowing anything. Therefore, I could guide them through the ways.
And I want to say this, that experience last night as the wearable art component. And again, organic.
And work in it.
Tomorrow.
Right.
Right.
Because the vibration is different from yesterday.
Yeah.
Because they didn't rehearse, they just came on.
That wasn't rehearsed.
It's another concert, it'll be different. See, they can't do what they did last night.
Never again.
Right.
I did a show in Havana, Cuba, July 31st at Casa de Africa, and I used Sun Ra's music. And I'm in another culture, turning people that never heard of Sun Ra. I played Mayan temple, and I played India. I started the show off with Oshun, and then I went into that. And these young sisters, now there's a language barrier because I don't really speak Spanish. I know the hello, goodbye. And they just heard the music. I played the music over. I showed them a video of a show that I did before. But it was so organic, so beautiful. And again, you're talking about uplifting one's consciousness and spirit. Sun Ra was with us in Havana this summer.
You know, we worked. I'm sorry. We worked in Tuva, Siberia.
Whoa.
Tuva, Siberia is at the bottom of Siberia near Mongolia, and we're probably the only big band that we've been there 5 times. And they had when we first went there, they had a youth band that was playing. And they was playing marches, you know, because the Russian marches, that was all they knew and stuff. Now they playing it all over the world. And they with their uniforms and they playing some Sun Ra tunes.
So when I first went to Tuba, okay, the mayor of the city presented me with a plaque from the veterans of World War II. Give something a plaque for achieving, because I was a soldier, but I wasn't a fighting soldier, only with my horn. You see, so that was Russia. That's part of Russians over there in Tuba. So they give me a plaque and an award and a hat and a gown. And then we playing in the stadium. And he wanted to make an example. He said, now here's a man that how old was I?
About 80 something.
Yeah. I'm flying around on stage playing. Like a bird, you know.
Go, Marshall.
But he told the people, look, he's 80 something years old. So they gave me an award and the key to the city.
Wow.
Now, let me say one thing. Marshall's a Buffalo Soldier. I don't know if everybody knew that.
I'm the second division.
What?
Yeah.
Go, Marshall.
One or two more, yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to say Sir Rock did save my life on this book later on. My name is Ron Hurd from Memphis, Tennessee. And what's amazing about Song Rock was that amazing Berkeley lecture he did back in '71. And I was wondering if there are any more college lectures that he did because he had a reading list in that lecture.
Yeah.
And I read the book, The Brotherhood of Angels and of Men by Jeffrey Hosser.
Yes.
That was a very powerful book. I want to know, did he make y'all or force y'all to read anything?
He never forced us to read anything.
Okay.
He never forced us. He never forced us anything. Sunrod, only thing Sunrod would not go for is you miss rehearsal. that was like, he was really, he paid you to rehearse rather than play.
Yeah.
And 1 week, we played 1 week, we was gonna play at this club called the Bottom Line in New York. And for some reason or another, everybody had something to do. I mean, not even John. Everybody was doing something. We didn't rehearse all week. So we going on the gig. Everybody's kind of quiet because you know something's going to happen. We don't know what. And nobody going to say anything about it because then you might get it happen to you first. So somebody got on stage and he would play the 4 bars of a number. We were supposed to come in. He played every number, even the slow number, like 100 miles an hour. This, bam, 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 even the fast was even faster. And we was, and there's children in here, so I won't say all that said. We got off stage, he said, yeah, I bet you I don't want to miss another number. Fish you.
You need to know that all of the information you're talking about, the Berkeley lectures, the ones that were recorded are all available online. And the reading list that he gave to that class is also available online. And if you can Facebook me, I'll make sure you have that information.
I appreciate it.
All right, okay.
And also, what Slug is the place where Lee Morgan got shot by his girlfriend.
Yes,
Okay. That's all.
Yes.
Thank you both. Such an honor. For me, aside from the complexity of the music, which really draws me instantly, I see Sun Ra as also very political, even though he wasn't overtly political like other artists. I find him to be, and your work, wonderfully subversive. So I wanted to know if you could share what you learned politically from Sun Ra, because when he talks about imagining a future and he talks about a tomorrow, for me that goes beyond accepting the day-to-day status quo, the injustice. It strikes at something deeper and profound. So if you could share your thoughts and what you learned from Sun Ra as a political teacher, I would appreciate that.
One thing, every day is different. The vibrations of the day tell you something, believe it or not. He usually can tell you things that's going to happen in the future or back. So he's giving you something to work with. You got to work in order to make it so simple. So he's telling you things, believe it or not, but he gives you material to work with. So if you're sincere and a discipline, precision and discipline, then you can find what you're looking for, or whatever. But like I said, in the music it's the same way. Everyone gets something out of the music they need or they can use. So.
When did he do that piece, Nuclear Bomb?
Well, it's true.
Nuclear War.
We did Nuclear War.
What year was that?
That was in the early 80s, but we took it to a Columbia Records before this other place got it. We took it to Columbia Records, and we was just Dr. George Butler, I think, but we took it to him, and he said, because there's a few other words in there,
right.
and so he said, oh, that's too controversial. We can't put that out. I mean, now. I don't say what they put out, everything, but he said it was too controversial. But it was telling the truth.
Say so.
So they dropped the bomb.
That's it.
We already seen it.
But an English company put it out. But first I took it to Columbia Records. We was in Dr. George Butler's office. He said, that's too controversial. I don't know. I like some of our music, but I can't put that out. They fire me.
I think Sun Ra's gift was understanding. And understanding that you can't apply is useless understanding. So he had an applied understanding of the fact that in order to adequately critique culture, you had to find a way out of culture. You had to be able to get outside of this thing and look at it and say, oh, no wonder it's plummeting to the earth at breakneck speed. It's got a hole blown in it. This will not fly. Why are y'all still trying to do this? This won't fly. How many more centuries do you want to put into this? A way of war and wages.
Come on.
They've turned the whole thing into a plantation while nobody was looking. And you got the Occupy movement. That's a whole bunch of young white people waking up one morning and saying, wow, how did we wind up on the plantation? We thought we had it. And they went out and they took over this park and that park and that park. And the police and the politicals, they sat and they watched their watch. And they literally had a conference call. They said, okay, it's over, right? Yeah, it's over. And the police took the movement and put it in the dumpster. So march all you want, put your bumper stickers on your car, wait, do all of that. But you're not really going to deal with changing this until you start dealing with Altered Destiny and really critiquing culture itself. All right? And, the children. Don't give them what we have. The children, give them something better. Yes?
How much of somehow would you think was speaking to in terms of culture, in this world, the fabrication of culture and the distortion of it coming out of, I know you talk a lot about Kemet in Egypt, and leading into the New World, Christianity and a lot of other forces, kind of, contorting what it means to be human in this world, and even his concept of myth. Like black people, we are myths, and what we're experiencing in this world is that everyone is in direct defiance of God. And I mean, you can say that's as a result of white supremacy and anything. I want to know how much of what he was speaking in the beginning onward to African liberation. Because he was hanging with Amir Barack and all these people, and a part of all these movements, the Black Power movement, Black Arts movement. How much of it was he speaking to gaining for African people gaining cosmic and spiritual liberation? You get what I'm saying?
Someone said one time that the people didn't have no power. Creator had the power. And we was marching, we was in France one time playing at the A.L.L. They had a circus there. We was playing inside the circus. And the police came in to break it up because there was too many people in there, too many people outside. So somehow we marched outside, and the people behind us talking about power to the people. Somehow said, don't say that, power to the Creator. And we marched, and the police was there, and they just dispersed. We came back in and we played the concert and everybody came in. Somehow wasn't really political, as far as political, and he was in the myth, and the mythocracy he really was into that. He liked mythology. It's not the truth, it's a myth. So you can believe it or not. But he wasn't too much power for the people. He never really was that. We was just around a lot of different organizations that was saying that. He never was like that. He was about his music and how this music can change the world. How music certainly can make, like Marshall said, you can go different planes and different places with music. You can play some music and make you sad. You play some music that makes you happy. It makes movement. Like me, I can't clean up my house till I play this song, this Coleman Hawkins album. I don't know something about that. I don't know what it is. I be playing it and I clean up my whole house. Different sounds do different things to you.
I think I was speaking to in the Berkeley lecture when he said for black people that we don't follow the basic law of the universe, self-preservation, and because of that, our point of departure in our existence, we live in direct defiance of God. And that's what I was mainly thinking about and speaking about. What is that? I mean, 'cause even that lecture was entitled "Black Man of Cosmos." So I'm writing a thesis paper on it now. I'll go to Howard.
I want to talk.
Ain't you?
I want to talk to you.
But yeah, that's what.
All right. We have to wrap up, and we'll be here for a minute. We can ask questions individually. I want to take this opportunity. I'm going to stand up. I want to take this opportunity to thank our guests, Bill and January Moji, for coming in and contextualizing this artist talk. And I really need to thank Danny and Marshall.
How about him?
Absolutely.
Understand what's good about a body and a planet to use it on, and I hope that I can hear this music for as many lifetimes as I've got coming to me. And I just thank you just forever and ever and ever. Thank you from my heart. Thank you.